The lottery machine is still blinking when you pull out of the gas station. You don't look back. You shoved the ticket into the center console without checking the numbers because you never check the numbers. You know the odds. 1 in 292 million. You have a better chance of being struck by lightning on a Tuesday while holding a golf club than winning this thing. The $2 was impulse, boredom. The line was short and the cashier asked and you said, "Sure, why not?" That was 4 days ago. Tonight is Tuesday. You're at the sink washing dishes from a dinner you ate alone. The TV on in the other room. The volume low enough that you can hear the anchor talking, but not what he's saying. Water too hot. You don't adjust it. The steam fogs up the window above the sink and you watch your reflection disappear. Your phone buzzes on the counter. You don't pick it up. It buzzes again. You dry your hands on the dish towel, the one with the frayed corner you keep meaning to throw out, and you glance at the screen. A news alert. Someone in your state. Powerball. The number is large enough that the notification cuts it off. You set the phone face down, you finish the dishes, you put the leftovers in the fridge and wipe down the counter and turn off the kitchen light. You do all of this in order, the way you always do, because routine is the thing that holds an ordinary Tuesday together. Then you remember the ticket. It's still in the center console, under a gas receipt and a pair of sunglasses you forgot you owned. You don't go to the car, not yet. You sit down on the couch and pull up the lottery website on your phone and read the winning numbers slowly. 7, 14, 22, 38. Powerball 11. You read them again. Then you go to the car. The parking lot light flickers overhead as you open the console and find the ticket under the receipt and hold it under the dome light with hands that are, you notice, completely steady. 4 now. You read the first number, then the second. By the 5th, your vision is doing something strange at the edges. By the 6th, you realize you haven't breathed in approximately 30 seconds. There is 1 number left. It matches. All of them match. You sit in the car for a long time. The dome light times out and the parking lot goes dark and you just sit there holding a piece of paper that has apparently rearranged the entire trajectory of your life without asking your permission. You don't call anyone. You drive home. You remember stopping at 2 red lights. You don't remember anything else about the drive. The ticket goes between the pages of the book on your nightstand, a book you haven't opened in 3 weeks. You lie down on top of the covers with your shoes still on and stare at the ceiling, and wait for some feeling to arrive that makes sense of what just happened. Nothing arrives. You sleep for maybe 2 hours. The next morning, you go to work. This is the part no one believes when you tell it later, that you just went to work, sat in your chair, opened your email, attended a 9 a.m. meeting about a project that now seems so cosmically irrelevant you can barely track the sentences. Your manager's talking about Q3 deliverables. Someone is sharing their screen. You are nodding at intervals that you hope look natural. In your nightstand, 11 miles away, there is a slip of paper worth $500 million. You nod again. The second day is worse. You understand intellectually that the money is real. But your nervous system hasn't received the update. You keep waiting for someone to tap you on the shoulder and explain the mistake. The cashier punched in the wrong numbers. The website had a glitch. There is a reasonable explanation, and you're going to feel very foolish when you hear it. A coworker stops by your desk. "You okay? You look like you haven't slept." "I haven't slept," you say. She nods and moves on. That is the most honest conversation you have in 72 hours. The third night, you sit at your kitchen table with the ticket in front of you and your laptop open and your hands flat on the table, like you're about to negotiate something. You have not Googled anything yet. you are afraid of what you will find. Not because you think the ticket is fake, because some part of you already knows it's real, and you need one more night of not knowing what that means. You close the laptop, you go to bed. In the morning, you open it. The first search result is not a guide to claiming your prize. It is an obituary. Abraham Shakespeare won $30 million in Florida in 2006. He was shot twice in the chest and buried under a concrete slab in the backyard of a woman he trusted. She had told people she was writing a book about how everyone had taken advantage of him. She was one of them. You read the whole article, then you read the next one. Billy Bob Harrell Jr. won $31 million in Texas in 1997. Within 2 years, he had given so much money away to family, to friends, to strangers who asked that his finances had collapsed completely. He had bought houses for relatives. He had donated to his church. He had said yes to everyone because he didn't know how to say no. And no one had taught him that generosity without boundaries is just a slower way to lose everything. 20 months after the win, he locked himself in his bedroom and ended his life. His last words to his financial advisor the week before were recorded in a court document you find on page 3 of the search results. He said, "This is the worst thing that ever happened to me." You sit with that sentence for a while. Then Jack Whittaker, West Virginia, 2002, $315 million, the largest single-ticket jackpot in American history at the time. Within 4 years, his daughter was dead. His granddaughter was dead. His car had been broken into twice. His briefcase containing $545,000 in cash was stolen from a nightclub. He was sued so many times his lawyers stopped counting. He told a reporter he wished he had torn the ticket up. You notice a pattern. It is not strangers who destroyed these people. It is the people who said "I love you" at Thanksgiving. The people who knew which side of the bed they slept on. The people who had a key. No warning, no protection, no way out. You close the laptop and sit in the kitchen and the refrigerator hums, and outside a car passes. And the world continues to be completely indifferent to the fact that your life just became very, very dangerous. You pick up the ticket. You look at it for a long time, and for the first time since the parking lot, you ask yourself a question you did not expect to ask. You ask whether you should claim it at all. You don't call a lawyer first. You call a library, a legal research library 3 states away, because you are already thinking like someone who needs to not be found. You ask questions through an anonymous email account you created that morning, using a name that is not yours. You ask about trust structures, about LLC layers, about which states allow lottery winners to claim anonymously, and which ones post your name and address on a government website like a target painted in fluorescent orange. You spend 4 days building a map before you make a single phone call. The firm you find does not have a website that ranks on Google. You find them through a referral of a referral of a referral. A name passed through 3 intermediaries like something contraband. Old money. The kind of practice that has been protecting people like you, people who suddenly have too much, for longer than you have been alive. Their clients do not need to be found. Neither do they. The meeting is 2 weeks after the win. You take a different route than usual. You park 3 blocks away. You wear nothing with a logo. These precautions feel paranoid until you walk into that conference room and realize that everyone in it has seen what happens when people skip them. The carpet is thick enough that your footsteps disappear. There's a clock on the wall with no second hand because urgency in this world is considered a form of vulgarity. 3 lawyers in suits that cost more than your car examine the ticket the way archaeologists examine something pulled from the ground. Carefully, without expression, they confirm it is real. They explain the structure. A trust with a name no one will connect to you. An LLC inside the trust. Your name appears nowhere in the public filing. The entity claims the prize. The entity receives the check. You are, legally speaking, a ghost. They ask you one question before the paperwork begins. Who do you want to know? You think about your mother, your father, your sister, your girlfriend, who asked last week why you seemed distracted, and you told her work. You think about every person whose face you would want to see when you tell them. Then you think about Abraham Shakespeare. Nobody, you say. They nod like this is the only correct answer. 2 weeks later, $180 million moves into an account at a private bank you had never heard of before this month. You check the balance on your phone in the parking garage of your apartment building. Alone, engine running, doors locked. The number stares back at you. Impossible. Absurd. But the first problem that surfaces that evening has nothing to do with money. It is Sunday. Your mother has called twice. Dinner is at 6. You are expected. The pot roast is the same as it always is. Your father sits at the head of the table, and your mother brings things from the kitchen in 2 trips the way she always has, and your sister is on her phone until your father gives her the look, and she puts it face down next to her fork. Everything is exactly the same as every Sunday for the last 8 years. Except you are sitting on $100 million, and no one in this room knows. Your father mentions the mortgage. Not complaining, just noting. The way he has noted it for as long as you can remember. A number that sits in the background of every family conversation like furniture nobody moves. 20 years of payments, 11 more to go. He says it the way people say things they have accepted will simply always be true. Your mother talks about your aunt. The surgery last spring. The bills that followed the surgery. The bills that followed the bills. She says your aunt is managing. The word managing does softening work that the real numbers would not survive. Your brother needs a new car. The transmission on the old one is going again. You eat. You refill your water glass. You pass the bread. You know that you could end every conversation happening at this table with a single morning of wire transfers. You could do it before breakfast. You could do it so quietly that the only evidence would be a series of phone calls from confused and crying relatives asking, who did this and why? You say nothing, because the moment you move money, questions follow, and questions are doors, and some of those doors once opened do not close. You wait 3 days, then you do it anyway. The mortgage, your aunt's bills, your sister's student loans, your brother's car. You move through the list in 40 minutes, each transfer quieter than the last, and then you close the laptop and sit in the silence of having just removed weights from people you love without being able to tell them you were the one lifting. Your mother calls that evening. Her voice is doing something it does not normally do. She says, someone paid off their mortgage. The bank called, paid in full. She doesn't understand. She asks if you know anything about it. You tell her you had a good year, that you'd been saving, that you wanted to help. The lie arrives fully formed, smooth, without hesitation. She cries. She calls you her miracle. She says she doesn't know what she did to deserve a son like you. She believed you. That was the loneliest moment of your life. You book Tokyo first because you have always wanted to go, and now there is nothing stopping you, and that sentence, you are learning, is more terrifying than it sounds. The seat converts into a flatbed. A flight attendant addresses you by name before a takeoff. The champagne arrives without asking. You lie back at the 37,000 feet and watch the clouds through a window the size of a painting and wait for the feeling you have been promised your entire life. The feeling that this, finally, is what you were meant for. It is a comfortable seat, That is all it is. Tokyo is extraordinary, and you move through it like a ghost. The hotel suite at the Aman has sheets with a thread count higher than your annual salary used to be. The bathroom has a soaking tub facing a window that faces Mount Fuji, and someone has placed a single orchid on the edge of it, fresh, replaced daily, as if beauty is a service that can be staffed and scheduled. By 11 in the morning, you have eaten the best breakfast of your life. By noon, you don't know what to do with yourself. You buy the watch because the store is open, and you are walking past it, and you have run out of reasons to say no. Patek Philippe, handmade in Geneva. The salesman explains the movement with a reverence usually reserved for living things. You wear it out of the store and check the time on it immediately, not because you need to know the time, but because you need the weight on your wrist to confirm that something real just happened. The weight is real. The confirmation doesn't come. Paris, Monaco, a helicopter over the Alps that costs more per hour than your first apartment cost per month. Every door that was closed is open. Every experience that required a different version of you is now simply available. Available. That word starts to hollow out somewhere around week 6. You are eating alone at a restaurant in Paris where the menu has no prices because anyone who needs to know cannot afford it. 14 courses, 3 hours. The bill arrives folded in leather, and you hand over the card without looking and leave a tip that would have taken you 2 weeks to earn 12 months ago. You walk back to the hotel. The doorman opens the door. The flowers on the nightstand are fresh. You sit on the edge of the bed and look at the city through the window and realize you booked this room for 14 more nights, and you are not sure you can explain to yourself why you would stay. You change the flight. You go home 2 weeks early, not because you miss home, because somewhere over the Atlantic you understand that you no longer know what home means, and you need to go find out if it still exists. You don't tell her right away. You test her first, not consciously, not with a plan, but you start buying things and not explaining them and watching what she does with the silence. A weekend trip you book without discussing the cost. A dinner at a restaurant where the reservation required a phone call to someone who knew someone. Gifts that arrive without occasions attached to them. She doesn't ask where the money is coming from. She accepts. She smiles. She says thank you. And something in you goes very quiet, because the version of her you fell in love with would have asked, would have raised an eyebrow at the hotel room and said, "This is too much. What's going on?" That version would have made you feel slightly embarrassed in the best possible way. That version would have pulled you back towards normal. This version receives. 3 months after you returned from Tokyo, you sit her down at the kitchen table. The same table where you have eaten takeout and argued about nothing and laughed at things you can no longer remember, and you tell her everything. The gas station, the ticket, the lawyers, the number. Your voice is flat when you say it. You notice that. You sound like someone reading terms and conditions. Her face moves through several expressions in approximately 4 seconds. Then she asks a question. Not "Are you okay?" Not "Why didn't you tell me sooner?" Now what does this mean for us? She asks how much. 180 million, you say? She nods slowly, the way people nod when they are doing arithmetic. You watch her do the arithmetic. That is the moment. Not the breakup 3 months later. Not the conversation where she says you became paranoid and impossible to reach. Not the morning you wake up and her side of the bed is already cold and her key is on the counter. The moment is here at this table, watching her nod. She didn't leave you. You left her the moment you started counting her reactions. The breakup, when it comes, is quiet. No screaming, no accusations sharp enough to leave marks. She says you changed. She says you stopped trusting her before she gave you a reason not to. She says she doesn't recognize the person sitting across from her. Maybe she's right. Maybe the money didn't change you. Maybe it just removed everything that was covering up what was already there. You are alone now. Alone with $180 million and a kitchen table and a key on the counter that used to belong to someone who asked how much before she asked if you were okay. You don't get out of bed until 2 p.m. the next day, or the day after that. The first month, you just change the locks. That feels like enough. A reasonable precaution. The kind of thing anyone might do after moving into a new place or ending a relationship. You change the locks, and you feel slightly more secure, and you tell yourself, that is all this needs to be. The second month, you add cameras. 4 of them. Corners of the property, motion activated. Feed goes to your phone. You check it more than you check anything else. More than your bank balance, more than your messages. You check it the way people check a wound they are not sure has stopped bleeding. The third month, you hire someone. He is a former law enforcement officer. Quiet, precise. He sits in a gray sedan outside your gate from 8 p.m. to 6 a.m., and he does not make small talk, and you appreciate that more than you expected to. His name is Roland. You have never been inside his car. You pay him more per month than you used to make in 3. You tell yourself this is temporary. Then the letter arrives. No return address, no demands, no threats. Just a single printed page describing your movements over the previous 7 days. The coffee place you went to on Tuesday. The dry cleaner you stopped at Thursday. The route you drive when you leave the house after dark, which is a route you thought you had chosen randomly. You were not chosen randomly. You read the letter 3 times. Then you put it in a Ziploc bag without being asked to, and you call Roland, and you call the lawyers, and you sit in the kitchen, and the refrigerator hums the same way it always has, and the world outside continues to move without any awareness of the fact that someone has been cataloging your life from a distance and wanted you to know it. The panic room costs $80,000. It takes 11 days to install. You have never used it. But every night before you sleep, you walk to the basement and put your hand on the door and verify that the lock engages the way it is supposed to. No warning, no protection, no way out. You think of Abraham Shakespeare. You think of Jack Whittaker. You check the camera feed one more time. Last year, you lay awake worrying about rent. This year, you lie awake watching a screen that shows 4 empty angles of a house that no one can enter without your knowing. Both are prisons. The difference is only the material they used to build the walls. You find the GoFundMe at 11 p.m. on a Wednesday. A woman in Ohio, 43 years old, 2 kids in middle school. Stage 3. The campaign has been running for 6 weeks and is $47,000 short of the treatment costs, and the comments section is full of people sending $5 and prayers and the specific kind of helpless encouragement that people offer when they have nothing else to give. You cover the remaining $47,000 in 4 minutes. Anonymous donor, the notification will say. You put your phone down and sit in the dark and wait. The comments start coming in within the hour. She posted an update. She is crying in the video, the kind of crying that happens when something you had stopped believing in suddenly becomes real again. The comments pour in. Who did this? Who is the anonymous donor? Someone says it must be an angel. You are the angel. You watch the screen and feel something move through you that has been largely absent for months now. Something that resembles purpose. Something that resembles being a person who matters to the specific arrangement of the world. It lasts 11 minutes, then it fades. You try to chase it. A foundation. Lawyers help you structure it for tax efficiency and maximum impact, and you hire an executive director who knows the nonprofit world and can translate your money into actual change. The foundation gives away $5 million in the first year. Schools receive equipment. Community centers get renovated. Families find help they could not locate anywhere else. You sign the checks. You read the reports. You sign more checks. The impact is real. You know it is real because the numbers say so and the executive director says so, and occasionally a letter arrives from someone whose life shifted because of something the foundation funded, and you read it carefully and fold it back into the envelope. But you were not there when it shifted. You paid for it from a distance, and there is a difference, you are learning, between funding meaning and feeling it. Then you buy your parents the house on the coast, a modest place by the standards your life now operates within. 3 bedrooms, a deck facing the water, nothing excessive. But when your mother walks through the sliding glass door onto that deck for the first time and sees the ocean and understands that this is hers, that she will wake up to this, that this is not a vacation but a life, something happens in her face that no check has ever produced. Your father puts his hand on your shoulder. He doesn't say anything. He doesn't need to. That look on her face, that one lasted. 5 years have now passed since the numbers matched. You have given away nearly $80 million. You have watched the remainder grow to $220 million because money, at sufficient scale, generates itself without your participation. You have a foundation and a security team and a lawyer on retainer and a panic room you have never needed to use. And on a Tuesday morning with nowhere to be and nothing required of you, you get in the car alone for the first time in months, and you drive without a destination, and you do not check the camera feed once. You are just driving. And somewhere on a road you did not plan to take, a question surfaces that has no answer in any of the documents your lawyers have prepared. What are you living for? You don't plan to stop there. The gas station appears on the right side of the road the way things appear when you are not looking for them, and your hands turn the wheel before your brain issues the instruction. You pull in. You cut the engine. You sit for a moment looking at the building through the windshield. Same sign, same pumps. Different cashier behind the glass. The jackpot sign above the door is blinking. $340 million. You get out and go inside and buy a bottle of water you don't need because you need a reason to be standing here. The new cashier does not look up from her phone. The refrigerator units hum along the back wall. Everything smells like coffee that has been sitting too long and the particular plastic warmth of a convenience store in the afternoon. Then the man behind you steps up to the counter. 50, maybe 55. Work boots with dried mud on the toe, a jacket with a company logo faded past legibility, the kind of tired that lives in the shoulders, the permanent kind, the kind that doesn't go away after a good night's sleep because it is not that kind of tired. He puts $2 on the counter. "One quick pick," he says. The cashier tears the ticket from the machine and slides it across without ceremony, and the man takes it and holds it in both hands for just a moment before folding it into his breast pocket. He does not look at it. He doesn't need to look at it yet. The looking comes later, at the kitchen table after dinner, when the ticket is still a possibility and possibility is the thing he is actually buying. You understand this completely. You remember standing in a parking lot under a flickering light holding a piece of paper and feeling something you did not have a name for, something that lived in the space between what your life was and what it might become. The gap, the distance, the not yet. You had that once. The man in the work boots has it right now, folded in his breast pocket, $2 worth of not yet. He pushes through the door, and the bell above it rings once, and he is gone. You stand at the counter holding your water. The jackpot sign blinks outside. $340 million. You look at it for a long time. Then you walk back to the car and you sit behind the wheel and you look at your hands and you think about everything you have and everything that bought it and everything that left in the transaction. You don't buy a ticket. You don't know if that makes you wise or just afraid. He had something you used to have. You don't know what to call it. You just know it's gone.